Well, hello there, you're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. It's time to see them, what's making the headlines, with Harry Cole and Pippa Crerar. They will be with us right through until midnight. Welcome to both of you. So, front pages then, let's start with the Daily Telegraph. Boris Johnson will announce a tax rise to pay for the effect of lockdown on the NHS, the Telegraph says, with the Prime Minister expected to reveal a hike in national insurance to fund it. That is also the front of The Guardian, which says Boris Johnson will warn his backbenchers the healthcare system is in crisis as he tries to head off a rebellion over his plans. Well, the Daily Mail going on the tax rise too, reporting that employees who earn £30,000 a year will pay roughly £5 extra a week to bail out the NHS and fix social care. The Times leads with a record number of migrants crossing the English Channel and Priti Patel telling MPs she is ready to withhold millions of pounds promised to the French to stop them. The Education Secretary is to look at making defibrillators mandatory in schools, claims the Mirror, after one father's campaign after his son died of a cardiac arrest at school. A female estate agent has been awarded a £180,000 payout after her boss refused to let her leave work early to collect her child from nursery. That's the lead for the Metro. And the Financial Times reporting that the Financial Conduct Authority wants action taken to stop fraudulent or risky crypto investments being promoted online. So, Harry Cole from The Sun, Pippa Crerar from The Mirror, welcome to both of you. This is going to be a fascinating day tomorrow, isn't it, on Tuesday? This very high-level news conference we're expecting on a controversial issue with the healthcare service and social care wrapped in one, Harry.
Well, this is quite the first week back for the government. They, after months and months of pandemic lockdown and being focused on COVID, they are ready to hit the ground running with something that Boris Johnson has been telling us he had a plan to fix when he stood on the steps of Downing Street back in July 2019 when he first took over. And tomorrow we're finally going to see this plan. Lots of us are going to be seeing it for the first time. We have a pretty good idea of what's been agreed. The Cabinet, however, astonishingly, have not been given the details on this. They're meant to sign this off in about 12 hours' time, and they're still in the dark officially as to what's in it. But one thing that's really stuck out in the last sort of 48 hours or so is this was always meant to be the big social care fix that the Prime Minister's been promising. But it's been more and more sort of bled into actually fixing the NHS backlog. And actually the money that this national insurance rise of 1.25% for employers and employees is actually going to be, for the first few years, spent on getting the NHS back into getting waiting lists down, getting operations back up and running. And it's a big fear tonight amongst Conservative MPs and ministers that actually, in about 3 years' time, once the NHS backlog is fixed, is there really going to be enough money left to fix the social care issues as well? So there's a feeling tonight that actually, look, the government needed to put up taxes to pay for the pandemic in their view, and they're dressing this all up actually as a sort of NHS funding package, which is very popular with voters, versus actually what it was meant to be, which is for social care. So it'd be interesting to see how they ride those sort of two horses tomorrow.
And Pippa, this is exactly what the Daily Telegraph is talking about, calling this tax rise a sham. Why not just be honest about it? People would probably quite willingly pay money towards the NHS, towards the pandemic, towards the real problem now of those waiting lists, and tackle social care separately. Or is the whole point, if you wrap it together, you get social care under the banner of people being supportive for the NHS?
I think there's two things. One is the amount of money it would take, not just to deal with the NHS backlog, which NHS trusts are actually saying that the £5 billion that's been announced to get the NHS through the winter, both in terms of dealing with coronavirus and starting to make inroads on that backlog, is only half the amount that's needed. So, you know, if you were going to not only deal with the backlog, support the NHS to the extent it needs to be supported, and fund the social care system properly, you're talking a whole lot more money. And then the second aspect of it is, of course, that social care and the NHS are irrevocably linked. part of the reason that the social care, that the hospital backlog is built up is because the social care provision isn't there in place. So you have people staying in hospital for longer than they might ordinarily do if they were able to go into a social care system that was actually functioning. And I think really the bottom line of all of this is that we've had all these promises from the government, and there's going to be an expectation from social care providers and from families using the service that there will be solutions to some of their problems, and that goes beyond what the government's currently promising the NHS. There are really big issues around what that reform is going to look like. None of us know that. It's sort of almost gone the cart before the horse, and that the government's dealing with the funding of it before it's actually got onto the substance of the type of reforms that need to be addressed. This isn't just about care homes, don't forget. This is about care that people's provided in people's homes. This is about all those adults with who need support, perhaps with disabilities that aren't elderly. This is about the 16 million family support that are unpaid carers as well. And they'll all be looking for the Prime Minister to give them answers tomorrow beyond just how the initial package is going to be paid for.
Yes, and certainly the statement put out by Downing Street in the last few minutes relates to all those things you've mentioned. The suggestion that the challenges, they say, faced by our NHS and care sector are closely linked. A lack of integration between the current health and care system means people are often stuck in the wrong care setting, and families worry about meeting the costs of care if they leave NHS provision. And many of us with older parents know you get chucked out of hospital very quickly because they need the bed for something else. You've got nowhere really to go to, and therefore you start paying for it yourself, don't you, Harry? And this is the great rub, which relates also back to the dementia tax accusations against Theresa May, where if you're in hospital, it's free, and if you're in a care home or a care setting, you pay for it. And this is the great dilemma, isn't it, for government?
Yeah, so with the tax rises, and also incidentally with what we think is coming tomorrow, which is another manifesto commitment to break the pensions triple lock, which would have seen pensions rise by 8% because wages gone up so much this year. That's going to be broken as well. But with that, there's going to be a social care reform package that will need to be legislated on. It will need to go through Parliament. No detail yet of when it will be implemented. But then, crucially, there will be that cap. We think it's going to be around £80,000, which means no one will have to spend more than that on their social care. At the moment, Downing Street point out that it's £23,000 before you start having to pay in full for all of your care, and lots of people have, this is a problem that's not a new problem. It's been rumbling on for years and years and years as people lose all of their savings, they lose their houses, they lose the things they want to pass on to their children and then to their grandchildren. Now, the problem is this fix of national insurance the fairest way to do it? Polling shows, and the Treasury are at pains to point this sort of thing out, that actually national insurance is the least unpopular tax. I got that the right way around, because people do think rightly, well, actually wrongly, rightly or wrongly, but wrongly, in fact, that there is a direct link between what they pay in national insurance and what they get back. It's a very transactional tax in voters' minds. So they've sort of gone for the low-hanging fruit. However, it's a tax that disproportionately hits the poorest people in society, the poorest workers. And crucially, although they've paid in it all their lives, technically, pensioners don't pay it. So actually, you're putting up the one tax that pensioners don't pay in order to fund pensioners' later years. So there's going to be a big old row about it. I mean, already people like the Taxpayers Alliance and the Labour Party, I'm suspecting we'll be doing it tomorrow, are already digging up speeches Boris Johnson gave when Labour pulled this exact trick in 2002, putting up national insurance rather than income tax because it was more popular. And one Boris Johnson gave a very passionate speech in 2002 where he said it was a tax on jobs, a tax on aspiration, and a tax on the lowest people in society. So expect to hear him eating his words a little bit tomorrow, and probably from his own side.
Yeah, it could be a tough news conference, couldn't it, when the Prime Minister, the Chancellor and the Health Secretary will line up. Can't wait. That's Tuesday afternoon, we are told. You've got a great long list of things we haven't yet got to, so we will take a break and come back with a lot more in the next part of our programme. The very latest on sausage wars, EU lorry drivers and plenty more besides. Back in a moment. Well, welcome back. You're watching the press preview with me tonight. We've got the political editors for both The Sun and The Mirror, Harry Cole and Pippa Crerar. Welcome back to both of you. Pippa, let's go to the Daily Telegraph again, shall we? Sausage war avoided as UK wins protocol concession. Just wrap us through what the EU has decided then.
Well, David Frost, our Brexit minister, has announced that the status quo, basically, between trade between Great Britain and Northern Ireland is going to continue for the time being. We've had these grace periods, which have meant that checks on post-Brexit checks, which were planned for certain goods like chilled meats. Obviously, sausages are the ones which caught everyone's imagination, and thus it's all been dubbed the sausage wars. We've had these grace periods that meant that those checks were not yet put in place. Obviously, Northern Ireland businesses were very concerned about the impact of those checks. And the latest grace period was due to end at the end of September. And David Frost has announced that a sort of agreement has been reached with the European Union to suspend them indefinitely so that they can have a more constructive environment for negotiations. Ultimately, what David Frost wants to do is to rip up the Brexit agreement, the post-Brexit trade deal that the UK government signed up to with Brussels, and to create one that he regards as more favourable for the UK. Whether that will be successful or not, I don't know. But what the European Union is at least doing at the moment is not starting up the legal action that it had embarked upon before the summer over this. And I think there's a recognition in European capitals that they want to take the heat out of the situation, having a sort of a very loud, noisy public battle with Boris Johnson's government over this right at the moment, when there's so many other international issues that they need to work with the UK on, isn't necessarily the way forward. Seems to me that we might end up being in a position where these talks go on and on and on. As lots of people predicted when the trade deal was struck, there were still lots of items that were outstanding, and we were likely to see this still be negotiated in years to come.
OK. Harry, we're also going to do the labour shortages, these EU drivers in the metro, relaxing rules on EU drivers to ease the shortfall. Run out of time, but luckily we'll see you again very soon